Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Saturday, August the 22nd. We do have another 4-game slate today. This might be one of our last 4-game slates that we have, depending on if the Raptors are able to win on Sunday. They beat the Nets on Friday. We'll have a chance to sweep them on Sunday. That'll eliminate a team and eliminate, a series from the postseason. Those guys, or the Raptors, will move on to the next round. There's a chance, if Houston's able to win Saturday and then win Monday, they'll be, or OKC will be eliminated and we'll have another game out. So this might be one of our last 4-game slates before it starts getting cut down, before teams start getting eliminated. We'll, like we always do, we'll break down these 4 games. We'll go position by position, hit on the guys I like the most, looking at this slate the night before, what I see at each position. Not going to talk about every single player, just the guys that I really have interest in. We will hit on some guys I like for DK, and we'll switch over to Yahoo. We'll talk about guys I like over on Yahoo as well. Just before we do get started, as always, I would appreciate it if you would hit the like button down below. And if you are new here, make sure you subscribe as well. I am uploading NBA videos every single day to this YouTube channel. You definitely are going to want to make sure you're subscribed. Be sure to hit that notification bell as well, so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss out on any of my new videos. And like always, guys, if you want to check out the Patreon content, that is linked down below in the description. If you really enjoy these YouTube videos and you want to see more that I have to offer, I do post stuff on Patreon. I give more updated content over there, so you can check that out, linked down below in the description. But let's go ahead and start off at point guard today, where we got James Harden at the top here. So James Harden has completely burned me the last 2 slates. I've played him both slates. He's been one of my highest owned guys. He's been really disappointing. 58 DraftKings points in Game 1, just 49 DK points in Game 2. Not playing huge minutes, but a lot of that has to do with, Houston kind of taking care of business. They won the first game by 15 points. They won Game 2 by 13 points. Harden's not having to play like 40 minutes because the games really aren't close down to the wire. If we do get a close game, though, down to the wire, I do expect probably 38 to 40 minutes from Harden. We did get word that Russell Westbrook is unlikely to play. He's not expected to play today. So I'm going into this slate, assuming Westbrook's going to be out again. Should get, all the usage here for Harden. With Westbrook off the floor this season, he has like a 40% usage rate, averaging like 1.8 fantasy points per minute. I made a funny tweet about it that, the one slate where I don't play James Harden, that'll be the day that he goes off. Well, I'm going to be playing him today, so he's probably going to suck again, but I just can't get away from Harden, man. The usage is there. He's just going to get so much opportunity. I like him a lot on Yahoo as well. They haven't adjusted his price. He's still just $55. We're seeing his ownership start to creep down every slate. On Monday, I believe he was 60% owned, and then the next slate or it might not have been Monday. It might have been Tuesday. I can't remember. I think, Tuesday. On Tuesday, he was 60% owned. He was really, really popular. And then he disappointed, and then Thursday in Game 2, he was 40% owned. His ownership came down. There's a chance we get James Harden 30% owned today, which sounds high, but really it's not when you factor in that Russell Westbrook's out. During the regular season, whenever Westbrook would be out, James Harden would legit be 80% owned, and if you didn't play him, you would just pray that he didn't go off. I think people are going to be scared to go to Harden because he's disappointed these last 2 games. You got to have a short memory when you play DFS. Harden still has massive upside without Westbrook on the floor. He's still getting a ton of usage, still taking a ton of shots. 22 shots in Game 1, just 16 in Game 2. But he kind of shot poorly in Game 2, just 31% from the field, 18% from 3. He still chips in with the peripherals, though. He's a guy that can give you, he can legit triple-double. He can rebound, he can get double-digit rebounds. The assists were kind of down in Game 1, but he had 9 assists in Game 2. I'm not going to be scared off of Harden just because of 2 bad games. I think he's still got the highest upside out of any stud on this slate. I know Giannis has been probably more consistent than Harden so far. Giannis has given you 65 and 59 through 2 games. But I still think Harden's one of those guys that can just go out there and literally drop 90 fantasy points and just completely break the slate. I know he hasn't done it yet, but I feel like it's coming. If we get a close game here, if it's, in the fourth quarter, it's whatever, 100 to 102, Harden's going to be out there playing massive minutes, going to be playing probably 38 to 40 minutes if it's a close game. And we know he's going to get all the usage, so I'm going to be right back on Harden. Same thing with Lillard and James, as I said in the last video. I think I do prefer Lillard still. LeBron he had a great Game 1 for DFS-wise, and then Game 2 he kind of disappointed. Just had 29 DraftKings points. Really didn't have to do much. The Lakers played great defense in Game 2. They really just shut down everybody. Like this game, DFS wise, was pretty terrible. Like the only guy that actually was decent was Anthony Davis. Like Lillard disappointed. I think CJ McCollum disappointed. Melo was terrible. Nurkic was bad for his price. Like everyone disappointed besides like AD, and even AD I think only had like 55, which still like wasn't great for his price. Between Lillard and LeBron though, I think I do prefer Lillard. He's listed as questionable, but he just like he got it. I'm pretty sure he like jammed his finger. He's gonna be fine. He already came out and said that he's gonna play this game. You know, we should expect Lillard to get back to playing 40, 42 minutes. Only reason he played 30 minutes last game was because of a blowout. If this game stays close, expect massive minutes for Lillard. Expect high usage. You know, the Lakers are going to do everything they can to slow him down, but you can only do so much when this guy is just going to have the ball in his hands the whole game. You know, once he crosses half court, he's literally you never know if he's going to shoot or not. Like he'll literally shoot from the logo, and he's a guy that can make it from the logo. So just so much upside for Dame. I do slightly prefer him over LeBron. You know, it's close between the two. I think I'm probably going to side with Lillard, though, especially, you know, if he might come in lower owned because of the Q tag. You know, people might be scared off because of that, but, you know, he's going to play today. He already came out and said he's playing. Like I said earlier, though, Russell Westbrook, you know, DraftKings has him listed as questionable, but it seems like he's unlikely to play. They already came out and said that he's most likely not going to play, so that's why I'm very heavy on Harden again. But then we got CP3, someone that I do like quite a bit, $7,800 on DraftKings. I like him a lot on Yahoo as well, $34. So CP3 was someone that I was pretty high on last slate. You know, he didn't do well, kind of disappointed, really disappointed, 26 DraftKings points, played 37 minutes though. I mean, CP3 is going to play 36, 38, maybe close to 40 minutes if it's a close game. You know, he's played 37 minutes the last two games, and both those games were kind of blowouts. I mean, they were kind of over. With like 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, you kind of knew that it was a wrap. They didn't really have to push CP3. I mean, if it's close and down to the wire, they're going to push CP3. They're down 2-0. I mean, they need to get a win here if they want to even have a chance at winning this series. I really like CP3 here. We know this is a guy that has massive upside. I mean, he almost triple-doubled in game one. One of those guys that can just contribute in all categories, can score, can rebound, can get assists. A very solid defender. He can get steals as well. I know a couple years ago, like he was one of the league leaders in steals. I don't think he's, you know, at that rate now, but still a guy that can go out there and get you 3-4 steals, can triple-double. I mean, he just has so much upside. I like the matchup against Houston, you know, fast-paced team. I definitely think CP3 maybe a bit underpriced for the upside he has here. Can easily drop 50-plus DK points. And maybe with him disappointing last game, you know, maybe his ownership comes in a little bit lower than it should be. Harden and CP3, you know, those two guys, we're going to be stacking them together quite a bit today. But then you got SGA for 7,100. You know, he's coming off a really good game. Finally looked good last game. Played 37 minutes and had 44 DraftKings points. His price skyrocketed, though. You know, he's now up to 7,100. I still don't mind SGA. I think I would rather get to Chris Paul, though, if you can. But SGA is definitely in play. Brogdon I still like as well. I mean, Brogdon's just going to play 38, 40 minutes if it's a close game. You know, he has a very high floor. Most games he's giving you 35 to 40 DK points. We haven't really seen that ceiling game yet from Brogdon, but he's got the upside to go out there and put up 50 DK points, especially, you know, if he's able to chip in with the peripherals. He's a guy that can score. You know, he only shot 28% from the field, 33% from three, still had 37 DK points. In game one, you know, shot pretty poorly as well, just 33% from the field, 16% from three, and still had 40 DraftKings points. Like, he's one of those guys that legit can triple-double. Like, he can contribute in all categories, very similar to Chris Paul. His price is still cheap, you know, $6,900. I do like Brogdon a lot. Again, you know, I was pretty high on him last slate. I'm definitely going to be on him again today. Dragic, I still think you can go to as well. Another guy that wasn't great last game, but got 32 minutes, you know, probably going to play about 32 to 34 minutes today. He's a fantasy point per minute player. He's only 6K. There's still upside for him to get, you know, 36 DK points, get 6X value on the salary. So Dragic is another guy you could go to. Schroeder and Bledsoe, you know, not too high on them. Markelle Fultz I do like a lot. Again, you know, I just think he's too cheap on DraftKings. I've played him the last two slates. The first game of the series, you know, he was pretty good for his price, 27 DK points for 4,200. Last slate, he was 4,500. I liked him a lot then. Wasn't great, just 24 DraftKings points. Only played 26 minutes, though. Was kind of a blowout. You know, the game kind of got out of hand late. The Bucks won by 15. Fultz also, I believe, might have been in foul trouble in that game. It looks like he did have 5 fouls, so maybe that was one of the reasons he only played 26 minutes. You know, if this game stays close, which is a big if, you know, you never know with these 1 versus 8s. they could always be blowouts here. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Bucks have been double-digit favorites like every game so far. There's really no home or road, home and road, whatever it's called. Like, trying to think of the word here. Advantage, I guess. Yeah, advantage. That's what I was looking for. I mean, even though Orlando's quote-unquote the home team here, they're not actually playing in their home stadium with fans, so there's really no advantage there. I still expect Fultz, though, to play, close to 30 minutes if it's a close game. If they can keep it close, I like Fultz a lot. I think there's too much upside for him to ignore at 4,500. I've been on him the last two slates because I thought he was too cheap. I'm not going to hop off now when he's still the same price tag. So definitely like Fultz again on DraftKings. You can go to him on Yahoo. I don't think he's like as good of a play, but he's only $17. Still pretty cheap over there. I do like him on Yahoo as well. But then you have like Aaron Holiday. Just been dealing with foul trouble the last few games. I think he got into some early foul trouble again last game against Miami. Was really productive in limited time, though. Only played 21 minutes, but still had 24 DraftKings points. I mean, Holiday should get the minutes, I would assume. If he's not in foul trouble, I think he plays about 30 minutes. He's only 4,400. He's another guy you could look to. I feel better about Markelle Fultz, but I don't mind Holiday. DJ Augustine is fine as well. He's going to probably play about 28 minutes off the bench, 26 to 28 minutes, 4,200. Someone you could look to, but again, I think if I'm playing a guy in that 4K range, I would rather go to Markelle Fultz. But yeah, I think that's probably it for point guard. Like Rondo is expected, I think he's going to be back for this game. He's not playing Thursday, or he didn't play Thursday, but there's a chance he might be able to play today. I don't know what we're going to get from Rondo, but if Rondo comes off the bench and plays like 20 or 22 minutes, I mean, he's a guy that can just go out there and spark a huge game in limited minutes. He's a great fantasy player, can contribute in all categories, like especially in like showdown. Like I wouldn't mind taking a shot on him. For the main slate though, it might be a little bit too risky, especially because that's a late night game, so we might not have news on that before lock. I guess if I'm going to punt like point guard though, if I'm just going to play a cheap guy and pray he gets me 20, that's probably going to be Rondo for me, assuming he does play today. But let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard now. So you can play Harden here at the top. Jimmy Butler I still have a good amount of interest in at 7,600. Was kind of disappointing last slate, but still, saw 38 to 40 minutes. That's what he's going to play today if it's a close game. I do prefer him over CJ McCollum. McCollum's just not a guy that I really play when Lillard and Nurkic and everybody's healthy because he's just, so hard to predict. You'll get those games where CJ goes off, can't miss a shot, makes, 60% of his shots and puts up 45 DK points. But he's just not one of those guys that, contributes with rebounds and assists like someone, Jimmy Butler can. Butler can legit go out there and double-double, or can triple-double because he's got that kind of upside. You're not going to really get a triple-double from C.J. McCollum. You're not really going to get defensive stats from McCollum either like you do from a guy like Jimmy Butler. So I like Jimmy Butler more than McCollum. Butler's just not as scoring-dependent, whereas McCollum, if he's not knocking down shots, he's not really going to be that good for fantasy. I do like SGA, though, at 7,100. Him and Butler, I think, look good in the 7K range. If we're looking for some mid-range options here, I still like Eric Gordon. I think he's still a little bit too cheap on DraftKings. Last two games, 30 and 33 minutes, 30 and 30 DraftKings points, just been about as consistent as it gets. Shot 0 for 10 from 3 and still had 30 DraftKings points last game. So that just kind of shows you, if Gordon makes some shots in that game, he's going to put up probably close to 40 DK points. He should be able to get some rebounds and get some assists. He's going to be able to do more offensively with Russell Westbrook off the floor. He's going to start and probably play about 32 to 34 minutes if it's a close game. I still like Eric Gordon a lot. I think there's a lot of upside for him, especially if he starts knocking down some shots. I mean, he could legit drop 40 DK points. At 5,100, I like him again on this slate. I think he's still a little bit too cheap on Yahoo. They did up his price to $16, but I still like him a lot over there as well. Eric Gordon, definitely a guy I've been high on pretty much both games so far, and I'm going to be right back on him today. Just think he's a little bit too cheap at 5,100. I do prefer him over guys like, Hero, Fournier, Ross. Although I don't mind the two Magic guys, Fournier and Ross. I mean, Fournier is going to play big minutes if it's a close game. You never know what you're going to get from him production-wise, but he's going to play the minutes. Same with Terrence Ross. Going to get, close to 30 minutes off the bench. I feel a little bit better about Gordon. That's why I'd rather go to him. But, Fournier and Ross, two guys I'll definitely have in my player pool. Duncan Robinson, I liked him a lot last slate because he was so cheap. He was $3,900. Today, his price came up to $4,900, so I think I'll probably hop off today. He shot incredibly well from the field. I think we definitely ran good with the Duncan Robinson play. I mean, he shot 87% from the field, or he shot 87% from three. He took 8 3-pointers and made 7 of them. we definitely ran good there. I think this is a spot where I'm going to hop off Duncan Robinson, especially with the price coming up. I'd just much rather play Eric Gordon. But then other guys, Holiday, mentioned him. You could go to him. I think Justin Holiday had a pretty good game last game. He put up 28 DK points in 29 minutes. He's been getting pretty good run off the bench. He's someone you could consider as a value for 4,100. But there's really not any, punt plays I want to go to at shooting guard. I mean, you got like Danny Green and KCP who are going to start and play close to 30 minutes, but these guys aren't just, they're just not good for fantasy. KCP, you're going to need him to just make a ton of threes to pay off his price. Same with a guy like Danny Green. Like Green and KCP, like they're just not going to contribute with the peripherals. You're going to need them to knock down like 5 or 6 threes to be a good play. And can they do that? Yeah, but I think I'll just let other people play those guys. I don't think I'm really going to go there. So moving on to small forward, talked about LeBron. If you want to pay up for him, I have no issue with him. I just don't think he's going to be a guy I go out of my way to play. I'm going to keep playing James Harden until he either goes off or until I just lose all my money. I mean, Harden's the guy I want to pay up for today. So you got like TJ Warren, Butler. Those are 2 guys I like quite a bit. TJ Warren feels a bit overpriced, but he's been pretty good. He was disappointing last game, but was really good in the first game. Still playing huge minutes. Still going to get a lot of usage. Between Warren or Butler, I think I would rather play Jimmy Butler. But I don't mind Warren. Chris Middleton, I just can't go to him at 7,900. I think he's a little bit too expensive. I mean, I know he's been terrible. I don't expect him to play this bad, during this entire series. I just rarely play Chris Middleton whenever, Giannis is healthy and Eric Bledsoe are healthy. Plus, Middleton's not cheap either. I mean, his price came up to 7,900. So, yeah, between Butler, Warren, or Middleton, definitely give me Jimmy Butler there. Aaron Gordon didn't play last game. We'll have to see if he plays today on Saturday. He's listed as questionable. I mean, assuming he plays, I have to assume he gets his full minutes. He could definitely be an interesting tournament play, especially if people, maybe are scared to go to him. Like, if we don't get word on Aaron Gordon till like 12:30, till like 30 minutes before lock, I mean, he might be single digits in ownership, which could make for a very interesting, GPP option. He's going to be risky because it'll be his first game back from injury. But on 4-game slates, these risky plays, I'm fine taking shots on. Just hoping they, outperform their salary, which Gordon, I mean, we saw during the regular season, he had legit triple-double upside, was doing everything. I expect him to produce when he's in the playoffs and to play big minutes as long as he is healthy. But then you got like Gallo and Rocco. 2 fine options, not guys I feel like I have to go out of my way to play, but if they fit in my lineup, I have no problem plugging them in. Between Gallo or Covington, I think I'd give the slight edge to Gallo, but both guys are fine that you could plug in there. Carmelo's coming off a god-awful game. Last game played 27 minutes and had 2 fantasy points. Maybe people will shy away from him because of that. I still like Melo today. The price came down a little bit. He's still going to play huge minutes if it's a close game. Pretty much everyone on Portland sucked last game. The Lakers just played such good defense. They only scored 88 points. They all played limited minutes because of the blowout. Assuming this game stays competitive, expect, Carmelo to get back to playing about 38, close to 40 minutes. He's been actually guarding LeBron in these games, which, he's done a somewhat decent job of. So I do like Melo at 5,600. I like him in that 5K range. I will be back on him today, even though he sucked last game. The minutes are still going to be there as long as the game stays close. I know Daniel House was pretty good last game. His minutes are probably going to fluctuate from game to game. I think most games, though, you're going to get pretty heavy minutes from Daniel House, around mid-30s. For 4,700, getting a guy playing close to 34, 35 minutes, I mean, that's always someone I'd be consideration of or that I'd consider. So you could definitely go to Daniel House. As long as Aaron Gordon remains out, I think James Ennis is viable. Just going to play 30 to 32 minutes. Been pretty productive. I mean, he hasn't, sparked any huge games. Like James Ennis is not someone that's going to just go out there and break the slate. But for 4,300, I mean, he can give you 25 to 30 DK points and be a solid play at his price. So he's also viable. I'd like him more if Aaron Gordon's out. Even if Aaron Gordon plays, I think Ennis will still start. It's Gary Clark that would lose a lot of his value if Gordon were to return. But I think that's probably it for small forward. I don't see myself going, to any of these guys under 4K. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the power forward position now. So at the top here, you got Giannis and AD. Talked about Giannis at the beginning of the video and how consistent he's been. I mean, I have no problems with Giannis here. Like I said, I do prefer Harden. Harden's still the guy that I want to pay up for. But I mean, Giannis has been as consistent as it gets. 65 DK points in game 1, 59 in game 2. Hasn't crushed yet, but we know Giannis has 75, close to 80 point upside. I mean, he's just going to go out there and do everything. He's going to score, going to rebound, going to get assists. He's triple-double threat every time he steps on the floor. If the game's close, he's going to play 32 to 34 minutes. You know, this series is tied at 1-1, so it's not like they can take it easy on Giannis. I mean, they have to win these games. You know, you don't want to go down 2-1 and give Orlando some momentum. So I expect 32 to 34 minutes from Giannis today, as long as Orlando keeps it close. At 11K, I do like him. Between him, Lillard, and LeBron, and like AD, I think Giannis would be my favorite there. These guys are still going to be behind Harden for me, but I do prefer Giannis next to Harden. You know, he's my second favorite stud. AD, you know, he was actually a bright spot in terms of fantasy. You know, the Lakers played a great game as a team, but in terms of fantasy, AD was really the only guy that contributed decent stats. Had 55 Draftkings points in 29 minutes. I mean, AD was on pace to absolutely crush if he would have played, you know, the fourth quarter. I don't think he played at all in the fourth quarter. So obviously the blowout hurt him. At 10-2, I mean, we know the kind of upside that AD has. I still like the matchup for him. You know, this Portland team, they don't have a guy that can really slow him down. They can put Whiteside on him. They can put Nurkic on him. But AD is pretty much unguardable. I mean, this dude, when he's aggressive, like, he can just go out there and just smash. I mean, he can score literally every possession if he wanted to, if he wants to be that aggressive. So at 10-2, you know, I do like him. Ranking him, though, between Giannis, Lillard, LeBron. For me, it's Harden 1, Giannis 2. I think it's Lillard 3, AD 4, LeBron 5. But, I mean, it's just so close. Like, these guys just all project so similarly. I think if you're playing a lot of lineups, you just kind of mix and match these guys. Me, personally, like, I'll be pretty heavy on Harden. But in lineups where I don't have Harden, I mean, I'm definitely going to have one of these guys. And hopefully I'll be able to make good enough lineups where I can play, like, Harden and maybe Giannis together. I did a couple of those on the slate. I think it was last slate. But, you know, it really didn't work out because Harden was so disappointing. But as long as you hit some values right, you know, these studs just have massive upside. I still like Harden the most, but, you know, AD's fine. I have no problems with him. If you play AD, I think he's a good play. I don't see him, you know, just going out here and sucking. I don't think anybody's going to be as disappointing as they were last game. I mean, last game, they just all sucked. I mean, Lillard sucked. LeBron was terrible. AD was okay, but he wasn't great. You know, could have had a better game if it wasn't for the blowout. Giannis was solid, but Harden sucked for his price. We're going to have one of these slates where, like, all these studs just go off and crush, and all of them get, like, over 60. And that's probably going to be one of those slates where you kind of need to, you know, play multiple studs and then try and find the values. I usually always make lineups where I have at least two of those guys because I think they just have so much upside. But yeah, other power forwards, you know, you got Nurkic for 8,900. I don't mind Nurkic, but man, he has been, for fantasy, like, he hasn't been great through 2 games. 39 and 22 Draftkings points. We know the upside that Nurkic has. I mean, he legit, like, had a double-double in the first quarter in game 1 and then, like, didn't do anything in the second half. But still, Nurkic is a guy that can just go out there and dominate, can score, can rebound. He can actually get assists as well. Like, he's got legit 60-point upside. He showed it, especially in that game against Memphis. I mean, 65 DK points in 41 minutes. I just don't think Nurkic is someone that, you know, on these slates I'm going to be going out of my way to play. But looking at other guys that I haven't talked about, you know, not much here that I haven't mentioned, like Melo, House, Ennis, we already talked about. Jay Crowder for 4K, I think is a fine value. You know, if you want to play a 2-stud lineup, a guy like Jay Crowder will probably be necessary. You know, he's probably going to play about mid-20s in minutes. It doesn't look like they're going to give him big minutes like they are to some other guys. But still, even in like 26, 27 minutes, I mean, Crowder can easily pay off a 4K price tag. If he just knocks down a couple threes, you know, gets about 6 or 7 rebounds, I mean, he's going to be good at 4K, can get you 25, close to 30 DK points. So if you're going to, like, play a cheap power forward, I do have interest in him. As long as Aaron Gordon remains out, then I think Gary Clark is viable. You know, he's been starting the last 2 games with Gordon out, 28 and 30 minutes. If Gordon sits again, Gary Clark's probably going to play about 30 minutes. He's 3,600. If you're trying to make a lineup with multiple studs, someone like Gary Clark will probably be necessary. So I don't mind him. That's probably it for power forward. I think we, you know, talked about everything here. So let's run through center real quick just before we end the video. So you got Vooch for 9,100. You know, I haven't been on Vooch the last 2 slates. I'm probably not going to be on him again. You know, I just don't think he's a guy I feel like I have to pay up for, especially at 9,100. Honestly, you know, even though Nurkic has been really bad, like, I think I'd still rather play Nurkic over Vooch, especially if Aaron Gordon returns. You know, that's definitely going to hurt Vooch a little bit. But Bam I like a lot again. You know, he sucked last game, but a lot of that had to do with foul trouble. Got into some early foul trouble. Only finished with 25 Draftkings points. I still like the spot a lot for Bam. You know, he's still going to play huge minutes if it's a close game. Lost probably 5 or 6 minutes because of the foul trouble. You know, I expect 36 to 38 minutes from Bam today if it's close. For 7,300, he has easily 40-plus point upside. He can pay off this price. Miles Turner, I like as well, but if we do look over, or looking at his DraftKings price, he's coming in 6,700. Kind of a tough price to pay for Miles Turner. I think if I can find the salary, I would try and get up to Bam. But I've said it like every slate, that he's been on. He's just too cheap on Yahoo. They haven't adjusted his price for what it should be. He's the same price as Steven Adams. He's only $1 more than Brook Lopez. I'm just going to keep playing Miles Turner on Yahoo. I still think he's too cheap today. Just getting all the minutes right now. 32 minutes, 2 straight games, 29 and 41 fantasy points. Had your typical Miles Turner game last game, 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 blocks. The dude can go out there and block 5 shots. We've seen him do it before. Obviously, that helped him, but still, I expect the rebounds to be there. He's a guy that, not the best rebounder overall, but without Sabonis on the floor, his rebounding numbers, do see a huge spike. He goes from being I think his rebound percentage, it literally doubles whenever Sabonis is off the floor. He can legit get you a double-double, can block 3 or 4 shots. Miles Turner, he's shown massive upside without Sabonis on the floor. At $21, I'm just going to keep playing him on Yahoo until they adjust his price. On DraftKings at $6,700, I don't think I'm going to go to him there. I'd probably rather play Bam Adebayo for a little bit more if I can find the salary for Bam. Steven Adams kind of sucked last game, but $5,900 against the undersized Houston front court. I don't mind going to him. If it's a close game, you're going to get about 30 minutes from Steven Adams. Can easily give you 36 DraftKings points and be a good play at his salary. So he's in play for me. Jeff Green, though, is someone I do like quite a bit as a value. $4,900 on DraftKings. Really cheap on Yahoo as well, just coming in at $14. So Jeff Green's been getting a ton of run off the bench. Last 2 games, they played him 32 and 37 minutes. He wasn't as productive last game, only finished with 23 DraftKings points. But it's great to see that they're, going to give him huge minutes. I expect they continue to give him the minutes off the bench. With Westbrook out, I don't know if that really helps or hurts Jeff Green any. I still expect him to be productive, though, when he's on the floor. I believe he's been about a fantasy point per minute player this season with the Rockets. And, like I said, going to get big minutes, and that's really all we can ask for when you're $4,900. Getting a guy that averages close to a fantasy point per minute, playing these minutes, and, at his price tag, easily should be able to pay off this price. I know he's kind of disappointing last game, but I'm not really going to let that scare me off of Green today. Especially it was great to see that he played 37 minutes. So I do like Jeff Green a lot. I think he's been pretty popular the last few slates. I feel like he's going to be popular again just because his price hasn't moved. But that's chalk I'm fine eating. It's hard to find guys this cheap that are going to play the amount of minutes Green will. I can definitely differentiate elsewhere. You can always find low-owned guys on these playoff slates that, have upside. So I do like Jeff Green as a center value. I think Hassan Whiteside's fine. They're going to play him probably 25, 26 minutes. He got 22 minutes last game, but obviously didn't play at all in the fourth quarter because of the blowout. They are very, they're not hesitant at all to play Whiteside and Nurkic alongside each other right now. I believe Whiteside in yesterday's game or in the last game, he was the first guy off the bench. I think he came off the bench and replaced Gabriel right off, he was the first sub off the bench and replaced Gabriel, and they went with Nurkic and Whiteside alongside each other. It seems like they have no problems, running that lineup right now. So I think we get about 24 to 26 minutes from Whiteside if this game stays close, and as long as he's not in foul trouble. Foul trouble was a concern in the first game, and then blowout was a concern in the second game. We haven't seen Whiteside really get his full potential yet. Hasn't been able to play his full minutes. Maybe they give him 27, 28 minutes if it stays close, especially if he's playing well. He's been great in terms of shot blocking just in these games. 5 blocks in game 1, 3 blocks in game 2. I do like Whiteside as a value at 4,600. He may be risky, but it seems like they have no problems running him alongside Nurkic right now. And with Zach Collins still out, I think they're not going to be hesitant at all to do that lineup. So I do like Whiteside. Obviously, you feel better with a guy like Jeff Green because we know Jeff Green's locked into big minutes right now. But Whiteside's a guy that, doesn't really need big minutes to spark a huge game. He's such a productive player. He can rebound. He's an incredible rebounder. He pretty much any defensive rebound, he's going to be out there to grab it. He's going to be right by the rim to grab it. He's a great shot blocker as well. He can legit drop 35 DK points in 20 minutes. So I do like Whiteside. But that's probably it for center values. I don't see myself going anywhere else here. Not going to play Kelly Olynyk. Not going to play Tucker or Baisley or Dwight Howard. Gary Clark's fine as long as Gordon remains out. We'll just have to wait and see there. So yeah, guys, I think we broke it all down for Saturday's slate. Another 4 games. Feels like we're playing the same slates like every other day, which we kind of are. But there's still a ton of money out there to win. There's definitely still ways you can get different on these slates, even though it's like it's the same slate that you're playing. I still like playing these though. I'm having a lot of fun playing NBA right now. These games are awesome to watch. Even without fans, the games are incredibly intense to watch, especially the ones that are like close down to the wire. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I really do appreciate all the support. You guys have been killing it with the support recently on the NBA videos. Definitely hit that like button before you get out of here. Hit the subscribe button as well. Click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. And if you have not yet, you can follow me on Twitter. That is linked down below in the description at DFS by Noah. You can also check out my Patreon exclusive content, linked down below in the description. If you really enjoy these YouTube videos and you do want to get more content from me, I have stuff available on Patreon that you can check out, linked down below. But yeah, guys, best of luck tonight. Really appreciate you watching the video. I hope you did enjoy, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.